So, I have been hiding something from you all. Remember when I said that all of my yarn was gone? Well, that may have been a little bit of a stretch. What have we done? Hey everyone, it's Natalie, also known as Nitty Natty. Now, last year I started out on a journey to completely eliminate my stash, and I think I did a pretty good job of that. So while I spent the year focusing on 100-gram full skeins, all of my leftovers and scraps and mini skeins, not to mention Advent season just ended, started to pile up. Even if you've just been knitting and crocheting for a little while, you know how easy it is for all of those leftovers and mini skeins and other things to just leak into your stash, and it can create a lot of overwhelm. That's why this year I am committed to a scrap-free 2023. Today's the day that I have had enough. I am sitting down, I am getting everything together, I am making a plan, and I'm gonna walk you through every single step along the way. Step number one is to get everything in one place. This is such a great strategy when you're decluttering anything. I recommend this especially if you're going through a really, really large stash, is to take one category of things, put them all out together, and then you can kind of do that comparison and sort. So today I'm just looking at mini skeins, leftovers, and scraps. So I've cleared off the bed behind me so that I have a nice, fresh, clean palette, not to mention at a level that I can work with because the floor can be a little bit hard to get up and down off of, so that's why I've decided to use the bed today. I have scraps literally hidden in all sorts of places, in drawers, in boxes, in closets, and we're gonna go find each and every one of them and bring them right here in one space. Oh my gosh, it is so much worse than I even realized. And then I had this thought, I used to put Advents behind these, so I thought, I haven't done that in a while. Let me just check and make sure nothing is back there. And I go down to this box right here, and if I pull it out, look at what's back there. So let's do a quick little tour of what is going on here. So let's start with the newest stuff. I have a Homespun House Advent from 2022. That's this past year. I have a Mandy's Making 12-day calendar, again from 2022, just this past year. I have leftovers that I've already used and have leftovers of Fangirl Fibers Sears Retro Toy Advent Calendar, also from 2022. So all three of these are very recent. In this bag, I have mostly a swap that we did in the Love and Stitches membership, I think just about a year ago. All right, now you can kind of see inside there. It's mostly like really lovely wound and tagged yarn from my swap. Then I started putting like more recent scraps, my intention to use these yarns for my granny stripe blanket. That did not go according to plan. In this box here, I actually have two different things, so I need to separate them. This is yarn that I have been gathering for Advent swaps or an Advent giveaway for at least 2 years, and it's just all bagged and organized together. And then underneath that, oh, I guess there's a few more, hang on, that goes together. Underneath that, I have a full 31-day Pokemon Advent Calendar from Fangirl Fibers that I never finished opening. I haven't used it all. I haven't even done the large package yet. It is just still sitting here, hidden underneath all the mess. You may be detecting a theme here. Here's another Fangirl Fibers Advent. This one is the Disney World one from 2021. I've opened everything up, but then I repackaged it and I have not used it at all. Lastly, and I really hope this is true, but I feel like I'm gonna find a surprise in a closet somewhere. This is just a drawer that I pulled out of the closet that has all just different kinds of scraps. I'm pretty sure, well, now I can't remember if these were ones that were big enough to go in my granny stripe blanket or if they were too small and what I did with them. I clearly have a bag here that says small scraps, and then I'm pretty sure this is a magic knot ball, but that's what we're gonna figure out here today. Oh boy. Looking around, I am definitely feeling a touch overwhelmed, but I feel like whenever you're working on a project and you're at that point where you're like getting ready to make a big step, it always has to get a little bit worse before it gets better. So the next step, step number 2, is to decide what to use, what to let go, and I don't know. Or otherwise, these piles could be known as definite yes, definite no, and maybe. But I feel like I can't really make those decisions until I have everything out and I can really see it. So I want to remove everything from its packaging. That is going to take me a minute, so I'm going to enlist the help of somebody else.
Live your life within the moment, and don't go wait until the morning. You never know when it is over. All that I know is we'll get older. So let us dance this night away. To the groove and the light that flickers. We get lost in the crowd, it's getting thicker. We get away from the drinks and chatter. Haven't said a word, but it doesn't matter. Feel the air get thinner. I'm standing in a blurry dream. No one else can see us. Live your life within the moment.
We are almost done getting everything out and laid out on the bed, but we've hit a point where we needed to stop and kind of pivot. So this basket right here is random scraps that don't go together. They didn't come together, and I'm finding that they're all kinds of different weights. Like some are more than 15 grams, some are less, some are 20, some are 10. I have pulled out my trusty scale, and we are going to be going through and weighing each of these. If it is less than 10 grams, it's going to go into this little bag. If it is 10 to 15, it's probably going to stay in the basket. And if it is more than 15, it's going to get laid out onto the bed so that we can have everything in its own pile.
Feel the air get thinner. I'm standing in a blurry dream. No one else can see us. So let us dance this night away.
All right, we did it. The basket is empty. This bag is empty. Everything is laid out on the bed so that we can now make some serious decisions. I've always found that the easiest thing to start with is your definite yes. Because if you start with trying to pull things out that you don't want to keep anymore, it kind of triggers that feeling of like wanting to hold on to everything. So I'm going to start with the things that I definitely want to hang on to, and that's going to tell me a lot of information about what kinds of yarns I'm loving right now. I have brought out a ladder so that we can climb up and look at everything with a literal bird's eye view. So let's talk about what's going on here. Down here, we have Fangirl Fibers Disney from last year, Mandy's Makings, Fangirl Fibers Pokemon from July 2022, hang on, let me go back to the collections here. We have Advent 2022 from a homespun house, and then the rest is a little bit different. So let me show you those as well. These with all the labels on it are swap yarns that I did with the Love and Stitches membership. I found them, we got them all sorted out, and I'm happy to have them together. Can't explain why it makes me happy, it just does. And then those right there are all of the yarns that I could remember just by like feel were in my Advents from Dragon Horde Yarn and Yarn Cafe Creations. So I just put those together. They're all about 13 to 14 grams. Then the last few piles, the little Ziploc bag over there is anything that's less than 10 grams. Everything else that was less than 10 grams I got rid of a while ago. These are anything that is from 10 to 15 grams, and these are anything that's 15 grams and up. This pile, and that bag are random leftovers from projects that I've done. I have been building up this collection for years. My first definite yes is this Fangirl Fibers Disney Advent Calendar. I love it so much, and I can't wait to pick out a project to make with it. My second definite yes is the Fangirl Fibers Pokemon Advent Calendar from July 2022. I have an idea for this one, so I'll share that in just a minute. My final definite yes are these yarns from the 2022 A Homespun House Advent. The colors are just so beautiful. I already started a project that didn't work out, but I know that I can find something else amazing. Those are the three collections, if you will, that I definitely want to keep. And just because all the others are out there as maybes doesn't mean I won't end up putting them in the yes pile eventually. Now, normally I would pull anything that I'd already decided on off of the bed, but because there is a lot going on here, I'm just going to leave them for now and make a mental note of them. So now it's time to move on to our definite no's. Strangely enough, I actually have 3 definite no's as well. So these are things that I was already planning to give away to other people. So it was very easy for me to make these definite no decisions. If you don't have any definite no's, please don't stress. I love taking things from my maybe pile and getting them kind of out of sight, out of mind. So that may look like putting them all together in like a Ziploc and putting them into a closet or into a drawer, setting a reminder in your phone calendar to go back and check on those maybe in a month's time, 3 months' time, 6 months' time, and see at that point, do they fall into a yes or a no definitively? If they still don't fall into either, it's okay to keep hanging on to stuff until you want to use it or you decide definitively that you don't want to use it. I am not here saying that you need to get rid of any yarn. You can use up whatever you want to use. But I am here saying that if you want to get rid of yarn, it's okay. And here's a permission slip in order to do so. So that brings me to item number 1. I have been saving up these leftovers. I know it says summer because I used to put summer clothes in this Ziploc bag to put away for the winter, and you should reuse your Ziploc bags if you can. But these are all yarns that I have been putting away and labeling with the intent of one day either using this as like a giveaway for people who may not be able to purchase an Advent, they're really expensive, or as a swap. So each of these has 20 grams of yarn that I've typically already used in one of my scrappy projects. So it's kind of like a second leftover, and I've put them together and labeled them. And so they're all just ready to go. This is definitely something that you can do with the leftovers of the leftovers. And it can feel really good to have just a purpose for them, even if you're still storing them in your house. You can get rid of them at a later date. So that's 1. 2 is my Fangirl Fibers Sears Toy Catalog from this year. I actually have already worked with every single yarn in this bag, and then the leftovers I put right back into each of their packages, so they're still labeled. I am not going to show you just in case, I don't know, you end up being the one getting this. But I have, well, I'll just flash it real quick. I kept the card and everything. It's all together. My plan from the beginning was to use the yarn and then give away the leftovers. So that is going to be given away to somebody. I will say that all of the yarn that I'm getting rid of has probably already been spoken for by the time that you're watching this video, so I apologize, but maybe if enough of us are using up scraps, swapping scraps, you'll find some somewhere on the internet. The last thing is any scraps that are less than 10 grams. I know for sure that I am not going to use these. In fact, I have a project that I need to get rid of rip out, let go of. Actually, one second. Would you look at that? I just found another space where I have some scraps I totally forgot about. So this project, this project that I haven't worked on in so long that I no longer enjoy working on, here, we'll just pull the needle out right now, is going to get disposed of in some type of way. What all is even in here? Oh my gosh. But at the bottom, I do have, so dark in there you can't see, I do have more scraps that I think fall into the 10 grams or less category. So I will be able to add them. Where did that just go? I will be able to add them to this and then give this to somebody who has already let me know that they are in search of scraps. So that feels really, really good. See, I told you that we were going to find more stuff along the way. Our last step in our organizing phase is to decide what to do with these maybes. They're sitting here and we have so many different options that we can do with them. You can move them into the yes for now pile. You can store them away to look at later, or you can decide to get rid of them. Even if you're deciding to let go of some yarn, you don't have to do it that day. So just making the decision now is part of making the decision for the future. So don't spend too much time stressing over these things. Since I have spent a lot of time thinking about mine, I'm ready today to go ahead and move my maybes into definitive yes and no piles. I feel like some of the ones going into the yes pile may end up being a no later on, but you can always reverse most of the decisions that you make until that is literally out of your house. So I'm going to be piling up all of my yarns that I've sorted into different weight categories, the ones that don't go into the other collections. I cannot remember for the life of me if I had already used these yarns in my scrappy projects or not. That's the downfall of having collected yarn for so many years, is that I now can't remember how I was keeping it organized. I'm also just really in a space of letting things go, and so it's very easy for me to make this decision to give these yarns away to other people who are excited to use them right now. As for all of the yarns that I am keeping for now in my yes pile, I'm going to be taking pictures of my advents in order and then also making sure that all of the cards and labels that came with it still have the labels on them. This way it doesn't have to go back into the packaging and be bulky for me to store away. Okay, I know right now you're expecting to see stage 3, step 3, where we're going into project planning, but for 2 reasons we've decided to split this video up into 2 different parts. Number 1, there was a lot already in this video. You know how I like to talk, and I definitely don't want to skimp on the project planning part. Number 2, after I finished organizing all of my scraps, I realized I needed a little bit of time to think about what I wanted to do next. Which things do I want to keep? Which things do I want to work on? For the things that I want to work on, what do I actually want to do? And I realized that I really just needed physical time to pass in order for me to think about those things. And now that I've had it, I have a much better idea of where I want to go next. So stay tuned. Next week, we're going to do part 2 of this video. I'm going to share with you all of the plans I have for my mini skeins and scraps. And I'm also going to share with you some tips on what you can do with your own leftovers. You're not going to want to miss it. All right, I will see you in the next one. Bye.